Hiya, I'm on a train travelling through Tipperary, and there's a village on this line that I've wanted to visit for a couple of years for two reasons. One is that a few years ago they carried out a radical experiment in the village, and the other is that since lockdown they're one of the first places in Ireland to put on a play, and the chance of seeing live theatre just cannot be passed up. Cloughjordan is a planned village. Wide streets, a square in front of the Church of Ireland church. Across the road though, through a gap in the buildings on the main street, is another planned village. A village within a village. I'll get to that in a minute, but before I do, I got distracted by a shop nearby. They had trees on display outside. But they're not trees, they're vines.
Well, the project is very straightforward. We want to plant a vineyard in Ireland, big enough to produce half of the bottle that we drink in Ireland every year, which is 55 million. So we want to be able to produce 30 million bottles between here and 2035. Knowing that a 6 by 12 meter polytunnel can bring up to 300 bottles of wine a year, which is actually the quantity of a barrel that we can see in the Guinness factory courtyard or in the French winery, we need for 30 million bottles 100,000 polytunnel. Lots of people say that's a lot of polytunnel. We have actually 137,000 farmers in Ireland. So if already each farmer take one polytunnel, it's done. And we have more than 1.5 million people, 1.5 million people in Ireland that live in rural Ireland with enough big back garden to put a polytunnel.
Okay, and why? Why Ireland or why wine?
That's a good question. I know that everybody tell me how is possible to make Irish wine, and the project has been launched the 15th of September of last year, and the first meeting was at 6:30, and at 10:45 I get like the moment of doubt. Am I crazy? Like covering myself with like foolish ideas. Yes. But at 11 o'clock a man called me and he asked me for information. He says, look, 5 polytunnel, 6 by 12 meter, 1,500 bottle can be, if you're a farmer, a side income of your business, very little investment. He says, no, look, I bought an estate, 10 minutes drive from your house, and there's already a vineyard inside a glass house. And then I says, but how much big, the glass house? And he says, you have to come and see it. So as a matter of fact, there is a vineyard which has been planted in 1700 here in Moneygall, which is, the trunk now is big like an olive tree.
Wow.
The roof is covering probably 200-300 meters square. And apparently this one was not unusual in the old English orchard. So to say, there's already, the knowledge hasn't been spread and the capacity of making wine in Ireland, but for sure they didn't say it outside.
Okay, let me ask you another question then. Why you? Why
Say again?
you and wine and Cloughjordan? What's the connection?
Well, I come here in Ireland first in 2005, been 4 years in the Liberties with that restaurant, here at Art Café. Then moved to France for 8 years to dance with the vines in the Beaujolais in Fleury. And then back in Ireland now it's 5 years, and it seems like probably like one of these, seems that everything that I have been doing in the past in life has been a sort of training to make this little crazy project happening.
And why Tipperary? Why did you pick Tipperary?
We think Cloughjordan is today the best place to grow free-range children. As you can see, they come here like at 3 o'clock from school, they have lunch, then they can go outside, there's no danger of cars, everybody knows everybody, there's lots of activity for children, so that's the main reason why we are here.
And just down the street from Denny's shop is this shop, Molly's, where I met a woman who, rather than coming in to buy, came in to sell.
You know, if there's a market, people who want the unrefined, but it has a very particular scent that some people might not like. So
this is Rachel Hussey.
I live down in the Eco Village, so I make all of these products at home in my house in the Eco Village.
Okay.
This is actually a really good example of the products I make. All of the herbs that are in this balm I actually hand harvested, and they're mostly wild healing plants. So the whole, I guess, the ethos behind the little business is to harness all of the medicinal plants that are around us and then to formulate them into really nice natural products with no chemicals and preservatives. Oh yeah, what I was going to say to you, Molly, is...
Rachel invited me to see her home in the eco-village later. But first, I wanted to have a look around the eco-village. And I also wanted to meet up with the actor putting on tonight's play. Her name is Rose Henderson.
It's great.
Rose suggested we meet at the venue for tonight's play, the Cloughjordan Eco-Village Amphitheatre.
COVID came in and I was in the middle of a tour and it all stopped and it looked like I wasn't ever going to work again, and so I spent about 4 weeks crying because of that, and then I started saying, well, hold on a second, if people can't come in, I'll go out. So I did it in a barn in County Wicklow. I did it on a beach.
And are they gagging for a bit of theatre?
People are like, I know, I'm gagging for the communication. I'm just, the video stuff is lovely and it's nice to watch and all. Speaking to yourself and all, but but I'm just dying for the it's just that communication. Yes. A show like this is different every time you do it, because of the people you're doing it with. So it's a conversation, even though they're not saying anything. On the beach, I had the first thing that happened. Everyone was looking at me, and a seal swims past, and I'm so tempted to go. And I said, if I do that, they'll all turn around and I'll have lost them. And then I did it in a backyard somewhere, and a cat streaked through. And then I thought, okay, that's fine. And then another one came after him, but did this sneaky thing where they won't, if I go really quietly, nobody'll see me.
Then Rose went off to prepare for her performance, and I went off to see Rachel, the woman who makes the health and beauty products.
Lots of people pick nettle leaves in the spring and make very nourishing soups and whatever with the young leaves. But what I've also been doing now for the last year is foraging nettle seeds. And these are basically like a superfood full of all of the minerals that the nettle leaves are full of, but also fatty acids and vitamin E. Amazing for energy levels and vigour. And you could nearly replace your coffee in the morning with nettle seeds. Probably not quite as tasty, but... So what I'm doing here is just checking to make sure I haven't got anything else on top of the nettle seeds, any little mites.
That's protein.
It is protein. Yeah, it's kind of weird because I grew up in Dublin, in suburbia, and in fact the big thing when I was growing up was having no weeds in the garden. So I was brought up to actually almost have a hatred for like daisies and dandelions, but I always found them really pretty. And I remember as a child, my granny showed me the sap that's inside the dandelion, because I had like warts as a kid, I developed a few warts, and that sap actually kills the warts. So I suppose like an interest was there, but it wasn't until I got a bit older that I really started to appreciate what was growing around us.
And does it actually? Or is that
it does.
Does it?
Oh, it does. It does.
So that's not one of those pishos.
No, it's not an urban myth.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Yes.
Actually, dandelion is another amazing plant. From the root right up to the flower.
Okay.
There's incredible medicinal properties. So yeah.
And why here? What is it about Cloughjordan?
Why are we living here? Yeah. I always fancied living in a very high performing, really high efficiency house and building a house to, our own design. But because I'm from the city or from suburbia, I always have had neighbours. So I fancied being able to build and design a house, but also to have community. And the community here is incredible. I mean, it was one of the driving forces for us to move here.
Okay.
And it's a great place for kids.
And have you guys lived here all your life?
I have.
You have. For people who don't know what an eco-village is.
It's like eco-friendly and it's not really polluting. We're trying to save the planet.
All right.
It's fun.
It's fun. Okay, so where are you bringing me to now?
The water park.
The water park. That's fantastic. So it's a pond and a slide.
And you can jump in from here.
So what was the first thing you put in here?
Then we took out the weeds. We brought the chair over. And then we made the changing room.
Brilliant. What's the bucket for?
Catching frogs over there.
What do you do when you catch them?
We put them in the bucket and then we just let them go.
And do you have a safety
ring.
Do you know how deep it is?
Yeah, it's actually, it's like up to here and here.
Is it?
Yeah, over there. And then our dad, he hired the bridge, so it wasn't like coming on down top of it.
Brilliant. Sadly, it started to lash rain, and the play couldn't be held in the amphitheatre and had to be put on in one of the eco-village's community buildings.
Giving them up. Came out for my walk, and I'm here 3 times a week. So this is a play called According to Sydney by Jerry Lynch, and it's a woman on a park bench. Sydney was always complaining about my sense of time. He liked to be early for everything. He's the organised type, had to organise everything, including me. She's talking about her husband who has sadly died. I can wear whatever I like now. Change my appearance for the better. But she's kind of a bit happy about that because it turns out she might have had something to do with it. Now, she mightn't.
Okay.
But she kind of revved him up a bit and he had blood pressure. So, you know, but she... pulled out the plug. That was it. I threw the shirt on the ground and singing, oh, liver, to his face. I ran out into the front garden where I sat fuming on the garden wall. And I think by the time she tells the story, the audience are kind of going, yes, you know. But I don't think so. Sorry.
Rose Henderson and Cloughjordan, County Tipperary, offering a brief moment of welcome respite during the pandemic.